So very good evening and a very warm welcome to this session. And I call this session the session of InfoQuest. And this is something that came to me in the last few days when I realized a lot of people have been connecting to me with asking queries related to hypnotherapy and subjects related to that, because that's my area of forte or expertise, or rather passion. So I am aiming to really start this like a series once in a month or once in a fortnight, not just related to hypnotherapy, but everything that I am practicing or anything that is related to the healing modality and even the medical world. So I'm very, very grateful to each one of you here for the way that you have joined. And this is in a way my first kind of an exposure to such a kind, because I thought how would be better and how can be easier to really connect to people who have so many questions on this subject. So thank you so much for joining me on this first session of InfoQuest. And the InfoQuest is about an informal meeting with everyone, an interactive session, and an information session regarding any subject that I may know of, where you have a quest to know. And which is why I called it as InfoQuest. And yes, my InfoQuest is first starting with what is hypnotherapy, or everything that you want to know about hypnotherapy, but you don't know, or you don't know whom to ask. And so I thought it would be good, because that brings me to introducing myself, because why would you want to hear from me hypnotherapy? So I must share with you a little bit about me. Well, all of you know my name. I'm Dr. Ameeta Thacker. My journey began with being a doctor more than 25 years back, when I got into the world of homeopathy, or becoming a doctor and being a homeopathy doctor, which got me introduced to the approach of treatment, or a holistic treatment. And that was about working through homeopathy medicines, which requires understanding the individual with the symptoms or with the problems, and not just the symptoms and the problems. So that is my first brush with the holistic healing work. And then that got me into getting more interested or understand the human nature. And 15 years back, I came across hypnotherapy. And I think some of you and most of you who are so inquisitive about the subject, I was as much or maybe worse than that. I didn't know edge of it, and I landed up attending a session, which was obviously an offline session on those days. It was a gathering which was conducted by my teacher, and he was talking about what is hypnotherapy. And maybe I was as scary as Anita was, or maybe worse than that, very skeptical. I would use the word skeptical, because coming from the medical background, I wasn't ready to believe how it could be possible and whether it is really safe. So obviously last 15 years, I'm still here, and I'm very much here, and you see me the way I am, and it's very safe. And it's very, very effective from where I have been practicing. So my journey began 15 years back about the hypnotherapy, or using techniques of hypnotherapy. So let me first start with what is hypnotherapy. I'm going to really give you very basic understanding of it, very basic. And from there on, I intend to take it in another first half of the session will be just focusing on the basic understanding and basic questions. And after that, I would welcome questions from all of you, and I'll wait till every question is answered. So, which is why I said it would be interactive and also informal, because I like connecting with people the way they can be and the way I can be, and not about having to give a speech. So I kind of welcome you to be at ease. I'm not going to hypnotize anybody here. And I hope you all trust me. I'm here only to give you information, but definitely a solid information based from my experience. So what is hypnotherapy? It's a therapy that utilizes hypnotic state. Very simple. What is therapy? Therapy is for help and healing. What is healing? To make you feel whole and complete. Now, this is very, very airy-fairy word. What do you mean by whole and complete? To bring you a sense of peace and ease and a well-being at the level. When I say complete, means at the holistic level, at your physical level, at your, that is your body level, your mind, emotional, whatever level. So mind, body, and spirit. And in our well-being, even at the level of social well-being, because we are individuals who are social animals, right? So at all levels of our existence. So hypnotherapy is a therapy utilizing the hypnotic state, which means it is something which is used for the well-being of the person at all the levels using the hypnotic state. Which means at no level it's going to be harmful. It is not meant for that. Which means it is something which is going to bring you some peace and ease and well-being. And it is different from something called as stage hypnosis, which many of you would have heard about or seen on television, media. There are people who, you know, invite people on stage and make them do things so that they can show how they can control somebody's mind. Now, this itself has brought a lot of fear in a lot of people, but this hypnotherapy is nothing to do about that. It is clinical hypnosis. It is meant for therapy, for health, and healing. So when we use a hypnotic state for the health, help, and healing, what is hypnotic state then? A hypnotic state is something which is a state of the mind. Just as you have a sleep state, you have an awake state. You all know what is to sleep. You all know what is to awake. Are you all aware that on a daily basis, you are entering in a hypnotic state? 𝘼𝙗𝙚𝙚𝙚𝙚 knows it for sure. Thank you. So a hypnotic state is not something outside you. It is a part of your own state of mind, which you experience on a daily basis. And when do you experience it? Just before going to sleep and immediately on waking up. These are the two naturally occurring hypnotic states. You know, when you are about to go to sleep and you are almost dazed, you are almost entering into a sleep-like state, but you know something is happening around. Also, just immediately on waking up, when you open your eyes, you are a little in a trance state. So a hypnotic state is like a trance, and a trance is like a meditative state. So a hypnotic state, the word itself that gives a lot of fear to a lot of people is because they think it is outside them. They think somebody else is going to do to them. No, it is all about a state that is already been experienced day in and out by you, but you're not aware of it. In fact, even during the entire day, you may not be aware that you enter into a hypnotic state of mind. Many a times you are doing some work, yeah, and you don't know where your mind is, or you do things which you naturally end up doing things without your awareness. In other words, you do something on an autopilot mode. Have you experienced that? So,
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so hypnotic state is something that you all are going in and out every day. When you are, you know, driving on a highway and it's going on at a constant speed, which is much higher because on a highway, and then you keep going, you know, you would see the driver would make sure to keep himself or herself awake. So when there is a consistent state where you keep going on, you know, a state where it's almost going on an automatic mode is where it's almost similar to a hypnotic state, which takes you into like a very sleep-like state where you can be unconsciously doing things. Why? Because that you're used to. So hypnotic state connects you to your automatic mode, autopilot mode. Now, what is that state and why is that state on an automatic or an auto mode? Because it is accessing that part of your mind which has the ability to put you on an autopilot mode. So a mind has two parts. It has the conscious mind, it has the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the one that's constantly thinking, analyzing, feeling, and wanting to do so many things. So once you wake up, yeah, and then you wake up and then you are automatically doing some things. You get up, you go to the restroom, you take your brush and you start brushing your teeth. Do you really watch how you're brushing? No, because while brushing, which is a daily activity, your mind is going racing over what are the things that I'm going to do every day. So in that moment, there are two parts of the mind working. One, there is a conscious mind already thinking and processing of the day-to-day activity or of the yesterday. And there is a part of the mind which is, taking care of your brushing. In a similar manner, as the day passes, there are quite a few activities that you do automatically. And there's a part of the mind you want to apply yourself to thinking. So are you now noticing that you are constantly shifting between two parts of your mind? And most of the time, because you are focusing and wanting to focus on a very active state of mind, which is the conscious mind, you are not aware that there is a part of the mind which is working unconsciously and subconsciously. If you are a wonderful cook and cooking every day, you just cook every day the same dal or same meal, you would automatically put and know exactly what to put. But if any activity that you have to take up which is different and out of the routine, and you attempt doing that, then you really have to put your mind, right? For example, driving. When you learn to drive, how is your state of mind? You are taught by the coach to look at 10 different things, and then you are giving a coaching for 21 days, and then you are given a license if you have driven well, keeping all the rules in mind. And after that, 2 months, 3 months, if you have been driving regularly, driving becomes a part of your routine. After 3 months or 6 months or maybe 4 years or 5 years, when you are driving regularly on the road, then you don't really have to keep a watch on everything. Some part of the mind is actually watching it. And if you're driving, you started the ignition key, you put your feet on the right clutch, on the right accelerator at the right time and the brake. And then if you're riding at a good speed, something comes in the middle. What do? Suddenly you give a brake. Because that time there is a part of you which is constantly on the autopilot mode, is also aware to take care of yourself in a protective way. And that part is actually doing the function of protecting you from crisis. So this part of the mind which works on an autopilot and takes care of you during crisis, which is constantly keeping you on a ongoing mode, yet aware that when you go through a certain crisis will give you suddenly some thought, or not even a thought, before a fraction of a second, it will kind of take care of you and your body and your every presence of you. Haven't you seen that you get a knee-jerk reaction when somebody tells you something very hurting? Right? Yeah. Now this is coming. Now you say, I didn't want to say this, but it just went out of my control. So when these actions and behaviors come up, one, to protect you from crisis, whether it's physical, and sometimes you do things out of control, even in your mental state, in your behavior, are coming from the state of mind, which is the subconscious mind. A subconscious mind, which is sub-inconscious, not totally conscious, because its function is to remain in a dormant mode. Imagine if you are conscious every day of how you're breathing, how you're digesting, you will pay half of your attention to that only, and you will get bored also, right? You want to do so many nice, interesting things. So, some way the mechanism is such, or whatever it is divinely ordained, that there is a part of the mind which you keep applying it to creative thinking. And there is a part of the mind which is also constantly keeping you in the survival mode, which is like an autopilot. It's like how your refrigerator, all those machines, today's gadgets are all on the auto mode, right? They know that, how they are on the auto regulator mode. So the same way we are equipped with a part of the mind which is on an auto mode, but at the same time, it also has an ability to keep thinking. Now, and that's a different thing. As human beings, we keep going away from creative thinking. And how much ever we want to create, many a times we are not able to create because that creative conscious mind is falling prey to something which is on an auto mode in the subconscious mind. And that auto mode in the subconscious mind is thanks to a whole lot of experiences that you've been collecting. And you're not consciously collecting, you are just experiencing day by day, right? Which we call as memory. So that memory of the experiences from the time that you were born, as well as maybe from the time that you don't remember, which means even wherever it may be, are all there in the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, besides being in the autopilot mode and protecting you, is also something which is like a hard disk. You all know what's a hard disk, right? We have a gadget. The gadget has a hard disk which stores information. So the stored information is becoming the source of how to drive that autopilot. So if that information stored is whatever the way it is actually coloring your experiences of the life that you have lived. And hence, every action that comes from that experience is what is the motivating factor of your behavior in your daily life. Try changing your behavior. So you know there is a part of me which wants to not get angry. There's a part of me which does not want to feel bad. There's a part of me which wants to make a change in the habit and every day get up in the morning, certain time of the day. How much are we in control? I don't see any of you, so I don't even get the answers here, but I guess you all are listening. But you also can maybe write on the chat, or you can just show up on the video and answer. It would be nice to have an interactive session.
So your question is what, again, is if we want to change a habit? Yeah. So when we want to change a habit, then we're more conscious. And then once it gets into the habit after 21 days, then...
Hold on. Bhutina, how easy it is for you. Let's start from there.
To be honest with you, consciously, you have to think about the change that you want to make. Yeah. What are the consequences of that change? Then good consequences, then you will take small steps. I do that. Yes. If not, then of course, if there's no good consequences, then you don't do it. But otherwise, you actually decide to make the change after you've already thought about the change that you need to make. And then you see the consequences.
Beautiful. So that's the step to change, that you make a choice, you make a decision, and following that, you execute that. Now, how easy is that execution? Yes or no?
At times it is easy, but for that also you have to be alert. I mean, the moment when you are bound to do something which you regularly do, and suddenly if you have to stop, so basically it's like a control. We need to still stop ourselves subconsciously. No, you're not doing that. Yeah. To control.
So that's what I'm bringing your attention to, that you already have a mind which has been habituated. Now there's nothing good and bad. That's the nature of the subconscious mind, to keep collecting experiences and very naturally draw its own conclusion and make decisions. And before you even think, it comes into action, because it is meant to take care of you and protect you at all levels, physical, emotional, and mental. Which is why even if you make a decision or a choice at the conscious mind level, it takes time. And that brings you to one more difference between a conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind, which is an active mind, which seems to be actively doing a lot of things, it falls prey, I would use the word falls prey, to the powerhouse of the experience of the subconscious mind. Because that becomes the determining factor of how you live life. Your experiences start molding your life, and the rules are in the conscious mind. The conscious mind is barely 10 to 12%, and the subconscious mind takes over around 80 to 90%, which is 6,000 times powerful than the conscious mind. Now, why am I sharing all this here? We'll go on and on with this. My idea of sharing this is because a hypnotherapist is simply in a therapeutic state using a certain process and a technique to induce or have an access to that natural state of yours, which is kind of trapped, or is it in the zone of a repetitive behavior and an action. Okay, so it simply does that. Is everybody clear with that?
Yes.
So its role is only to access something which is there dormant, but extremely powerful enough to influence your behavior. So the role of a hypnotherapist is to help you to access your subconscious mind. And because that part of the mind is most accessible when you are asleep. But if you are asleep, do you use your creative conscious mind? No, you don't even know whether things have happened. The only thing that you know in the sleep state is a dream. But when you wake up, even that you forget. So we need a state between the conscious mind and the complete subconscious mind is the sleep state. And the awake state is what we are talking right now. You all are paying attention. I guess so, though there are videos off. So you're constantly paying attention through your conscious mind, but there is something already happening at the subconscious level or the unconscious level, which is much more present during the sleep. Now, if we have to do a therapy that can bring a change, and the change at the holistic level, at the level of mind, body, spirit as well, then one has to access that zone which has the potential to change. Because the conscious mind is constantly thinking. If it had the power to change, I'm sure everybody of you here would have made a change very quickly. So Bhutena has known how to make the steps, but that she immediately said 21 days, which means there is something that you can't do immediately. Something has to be trained. Now that training is because there is some experience etched or stored in the zone of your subconscious mind, which does not allow it to bring that change. So for us to really have a change, the access to the subconscious mind is required for two things. One, to go into the source of that experience and change that experience. Now, if you were to really easily change that experience, we all could have been able to do it, right? As you said, sometimes we have to be alert, Anita said. The only time when you can really allow the change, when the conscious mind stops thinking less. And when it stops thinking less, what happens in the sleep state? A lot of impressions come to you in the dream state, but you don't know how to register it. So there has to be an in-between state which can have an access to conscious mind and subconscious mind. So a hypnotic state is where you have a complete access to your subconscious experiences. And you also have a connect with your conscious mind, which is looking at it, watching it without interfering it. Is that clear? So this is what is the hypnotic state. There is a lot that we have to explain about it, but if for a general understanding, this is what you require to understand. Now, is there anything scary about it? Entering into your own mind, which means your mind is the most scariest thing to go there. So if you're scared of your own mind, then you will be scared of hypnotherapy. Secondly, it is something to be done, of course, with a trained therapist, which is one of the reasons we would suggest that, yes, if you're doing, then a well-informed therapy always works well. So many people, when they come with this, they come for the hypnotherapy sessions or they come for hypnotherapy training, they say, okay, can I do it for somebody else? No, you cannot do it for somebody else, or therapy cannot be done without their conscious willingness, which means you are participating. Because only your willingness will allow the therapist to take you into a state of that subconscious mind as much as you would want to and as much as you're ready for it. So a lot of people feel, can we do for somebody? No, you can't do without their permission. A therapist will always take the consent for undertaking their therapy. The therapist will always build a rapport so that there is a trust factor between the client and the therapist, which allows the client to understand that I'm going through this process for my benefit and not the hypnotherapist's benefit. Is there a secret which is divulged in the hypnotherapy session, which the client doesn't want to give and yet the therapist get it? Yes and no. Why do I say yes? Because many hypnotherapists, with having gone through this kind of training, they are also in touch with their own intuition. Intuition comes from your subconscious mind. You all have intuition, right? But having said that, the training that a therapist goes through will not transgress the boundary or the boundary of the client, which means they cannot take things out of the session of the therapist, or they can't take things out of the client's session unless the client gives them a permission, which means you are still in a certain level of control. A lot of people have questions. Will hypnotherapy take away my all control? Will the control will go to the therapist? No, it will not. The control remains with the client, and that much control is given as much you and your therapist have decided to help yourself to heal that situation. If you really, go back to what I said, that much control is lost as much as you allow to your therapist as a client to heal that situation. There are so many clauses here. One, you are trusting your therapist, you're discussing your issues with your therapist, and secondly, you are sharing with your therapist that I want to work on this issue. And when you are very open about it, and when you're ready with it and you're fine with your therapist, is where the therapist takes you through a process. Now, there are different ways that you induce a hypnotic trance. And before I go to that, what is a trance or what is a therapy? Hypnotherapy session, what does it give you an experience of? It gives you an experience of being in a trance or in a sleep-like state where your total control is not lost, which means you are, on the contrary, hyper aware. A lot of people say, will I be like somewhere else? No, you are not somewhere else. You're only going deeper into your own mind. I told you hypnotic trance or hypnotic state is accessing your subconscious state. So it will take you into your own deeper, silent, or I would use that space or that unconscious mind that you have never acknowledged in your daily life, that you are not aware, which is the source of your behavior, which is the source of your pain in your life. So hypnotherapists are someone who will help you to deal with your pain. And what is pain? P-A-I-N. Pay attention inwards now. So it is an access. A hypnotherapy session is an access to your inward self in the present tense, but in the present moment, when you are carrying the past experiences and they are having a control over you, a hypnotherapist is actually helping you to take that control away from you so that you can live freely of the control of the past and not controlling your mind. Is this getting clearer?
Yeah.
Okay, only Anita is here and Bhuthena is here.
Can I ask you something?
Wait, I'll finish. You please write down your questions, or you make a note of it. I will give some time to all the queries, right? So I'm just giving you the basic orientation to a hypnotherapy session. And besides, also understanding how does a trainer operate. So both the trainer and the client, they are individuals. And when they are individual and the therapist is trained enough to deal with the psyche or the mind of the client. And which is why I started giving you an understanding of what is mind or how does hypnosis affect or what state of mind. So what do you experience in a hypnotic state or a hypnotherapy? You experience that part of your mind which you are not generally used to accessing because it's too painful, no? And how do you experience it? Imagine if I have to put you through pain, would you be there? You will run away. So there has to be a zone or a space created which can allow you to feel it quietly. And which is why a hypnotic state, like a trance state, is a very, very deep state of relaxation where you can have a focused concentration on your therapist's voice because the therapist is guiding you. So which means there is certain level of control, but the control is only for you to pay attention. The therapist can guide you and navigate you into that zone of your mind, which is very tightly closed. And so you can open it and understand your own issue. Is this getting clearer? When you understand it, your conscious mind is awake and watching it. Okay. And so when it is watching it, it will start making sense to what was deeply stored, or it was so much tightly compressed that you could not really open it and you didn't want to kind of address it, because if you address it, it's extremely painful. So the only way, what you do is you have an escape route. The subconscious mind is very protected. It will give you a way to work on that. It will give you a way to survive. If you have been hurt very badly by men in life, then you would naturally, invariably behave in a way to protect yourself from men. But the interesting part is, because you have a experience which is hurt by men, or having poor finances, or always being a failure. Now, all these experiences are actually there in your subconscious. Subconscious drives you to do a behavior so that it protects you, but it cannot protect you as much because it keeps storing every information without filtering it. So it keeps holding on to as experience. And if you go by law of manifestation, what you feel and what you think is what you create. So even though you are trying your best to keep away from the pain, we keep attracting pain, is because there are those files which are alive, but they are shut. And all that you are doing is a behavior to keep it away, keep it away. And which is where hypnotherapy plays a great role in very safely taking you into those files and the experiences to access those painful experiences, which could be even poor finances or failure or whatever pain that you may have, which is why I'm using the word only pain. Pain could be physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, social pain, financial pain, and go to the source of where it started. And by and large, that source of the pain is in the formative years. Because in the formative years, there was no conscious mind. You were just taking impressions as they were, and they were getting stored one after the another. And they became a part of your course, main course experience. And then that becomes the shaping up your behavior. So your belief systems come from there, and from there, the beliefs are building up your behavior. What does a hypnotherapy session do? It simply brings you to an accessing of those zones where you have stored all these information unfiltered, where you have got all those conclusions and decisions of those experiences which are driving you into a certain behavior, yet you cannot completely go away from it. So when you go into the hypnotherapy state, in a hypnotic state, a state where you are completely relaxed, it's okay to open the lid and look at all those painful experiences. And with the help of the therapist, you are now guided to deal with that pain in a very, very, very simple way. Because then we have so many techniques to guide you to release that pain, to release the lock over those experiences. Once you unlock it, once you let that painful part cry or express it, how do you feel when you have fully expressed your emotions to somebody? You feel very good. So those parts of your mind which were silent, which were suppressed, or which were repressed that you don't even remember, are then accessed, but they can only be accessed when the client allows it. It is never done against the will. And it is always a tango. It's like a healing partnership between the client and the therapist. Okay. So a hypnotherapy session is like being in a trance, being in a meditative space. The big difference between meditation and hypnotherapy is the meditation will take you on your own. You will be traveling to so many places, but you would not know what to deal with it. So if you don't know, you would run away from there, right? Because that's the nature of the mind. You go away from pain because you don't know how to deal with it. A hypnotherapist will become a mediator into that meditative space to exactly take you to those experiences which are traumatized, and very, very gently, very systematically, in a very, very gentle way, help you to deal with those files. You know how to go if you have a virus infected files. You need to have an antivirus, but you can't do it. You have to install it. So a therapist has learned enough to install that antivirus. At the same time, they also know how to clear the virus infected files. So this is what we generally do in a hypnotherapy session. It's very safe. It's very systematic. It is extremely scientific. Why scientific? Because there have been enough evidences. Now, this is not a session of scientifically proving about hypnotherapy, but I am a doctor. So you can give me some benefit of doubt if I'm talking. And I'm very soon looking to even meet doctors to really have this session. So the doctors are basically who believe that where is the evidence. Now, there are a lot of evidence where the studies have been conducted, which shows that your psyche is connected to your immune system. I think this is the best time in the world right now to really understand about how your immune system works. Because when COVID hit, every being on the planet Earth started looking at what is an immune booster, and they're still looking outside. The immune booster is right in your system. And where is it in your system? In your psyche. That does not mean there's something wrong with your psyche, or there's something good about your psyche, or something bad about the psyche. It's simply learning how does a psyche function to now percolate down for a harmonious functioning in the body. I think 15 minutes back or half an hour back, I told you that your subconscious mind is associated with something to go on autopilot. In your body, there are functions, respiration, digestion, every function which is your life sustaining is on an autopilot. And that autopilot is governed by autonomic nervous system. And that autonomic nervous system is connected to your glands. And that glands are controlled by your brain. Can you now see the connection? The subconscious mind is connected to the automatic functions of your body. And the automatic functions are the one who are influenced by the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous systems are in all the time working with the glands. And the glands, the endocrine glands, to be more precise. What are the endocrine glands? The thyroid, the reproductive gonads, hypothalamus, you can say thymus. There are so many glands, and there is pancreas, which is why you see in the last few decades, there are a lot of lifestyle disorders. So wherever there's immunity deranged, the answer lies in your psyche. And where in your psyche? In your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind has the answers, or rather logical answer, I would say, to all your illogical situation. You will say, oh, I am such a, diet junkie. I mean, junkie means a diet, I'm somebody who's very good in my diet, in my fitness, etc., etc. All the boxes are ticked, but still I got diabetes, or still I got thyroid. And you will wonder why. Or I'm such a wonderful human being. I don't know why I keep getting cheated. I don't know. I mean, doing so well. I'm such a hardworking, sincere, honest person that every, corporate guy would want me to employ, but I still don't do well. I still fall short of getting my best place. Now, all these illogical situations have the logical answers in your subconscious mind. So if you really have to look for an immunity booster, it's high time, guys, that look into your subconscious mind. And one person who could help you is your hypnotherapist. Why? Because he's trained for that and only trained for that. And there's a lot of other aspects which are dealt with, because once your subconscious mind is accessed, a hypnotherapist helps you to not just go there, but make conscious awareness of your subconscious belief systems, of your subconscious experiences. And that's where, because we are not somebody who are only with subconscious mind. You know, a lot of people say, I want some magic pill. Hello, you are itself a magic. Haven't you been coming from one fertilized egg? Have you ever thought about it? And then you are now into this lovely human being. And have you ever thought of the magic and the miracle that you are? So you don't have to really look for magic outside. That's already there. What you also require is a logic with your magic. And that is again something that you get when you access your subconscious mind, because that gives you a conscious awareness of your subconscious thoughts, feelings, belief systems, and experiences. Okay, so that's what is, I would say, logical. In the same breath, I will say the subconscious mind is something which is magical and miraculous, because it takes you connecting and closer to your soul. The soul has all the answers, right? The soul, you all believe in soul, I guess so. There's a life force that keeps you on besides the mind and the body. You know that something just goes off when you come to an end of the life, or there's something in the life which is very alive, provided you access to it, and that is soul. So the subconscious mind is actually connecting to your conscious mind as well as connecting to your soul. The soul is where you have the deepest insights and the intuitions and everything that you would want to know about your life from the past or even the future. And that is how a hypnotherapist also works with past life experiences. So a past life regression therapist is using a hypnotic trance or using a hypnotic state to bring you in touch with your own experiences, where lies the answer and where lies the change, where lies your possibility of enhancing your immunity, where lies the possibility of you being at peace, ease, and well-being at all the levels. Do you still feel hypnotherapy is scary?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
It's so scientific, it's so systematic. Why I say systematic, I must bring it to your notice, because when you go for a training of a hypnotherapist, being a hypnotherapist, let me give you a little more about it. A hypnotherapist is somebody who's trained into how to take you there. He or she is trained into bringing you out of the state of hypnosis. So nobody remains stuck there, by the way. Okay. Now, that hypnotherapy training is all about taking you, not just about taking you there and bringing you out, but there are a whole variety of techniques, not just one, that can bring you so many ways to access your subconscious mind. So one is just giving suggestions, which you can be giving it to yourself through self-hypnosis. That is also one way, which is used extensively for giving you very peaceful sleep, and even in cases of habit management. But besides that, there are a lot of other techniques that a hypnotherapist is trained into, where you can learn how to resolve your conflicts in your relationships. You can learn how to deal with your pain. You can learn how to deal with your fear and your phobia. You can learn how to really take care of the source of your habits. You can learn how to really address there is something that is missing in your life, the void. And you can learn how to really scan your body and really check where your body and there is something in your aura that is affected. And if there is something foreign to you, which is still in your body and mind, even that can be taken care of. So it brings you to your wholesome self. And if there's anything which is not yourself, is also removed. And these are the techniques we do it in a proper systematic training. When I'm talking of a proper systematic training, I'm trained with an institute called as 𝘽𝙗𝙚𝙚𝙚𝙚. and we are into training, and we have a systematized training which is as good as a professional training, because after the end of the training, it's as good as a training which you do in a university where you have to do an internship. So we don't have internship with doctors, but we ask the students who have done their 5 levels to give us 10 cases which they have applied through the knowledge of hypnotherapy in their 5 levels with the help of a mentor. So there's a mentor provided, and that mentor is guiding them through all the 10 cases. And then at the end of that, they submit the case to the institute. The institute checks all that, whether it's done well, and sends them off with a feedback that you can do better this way. So it's again not an institute which is giving you evaluation, you're good or bad, but it helps you to give you a feedback on how better you can do. And if there is something not done according to where the steps are, it gives you a go back and do it again. So as a training institute, we take care of even the psyche of the therapist. The psyche of the therapist means you also are trained to help yourself, or rather when you go through training, there are enough opportunities for you in every class to really work on yourself. At the same time, simultaneously you're learning to work on others. So a training to be a hypnotherapist is a boon, because one, you are healing yourself, you're also learning how to help other person. So that's how you can be on the benefit of learning to be a therapist. Well, if you don't want, there is nothing that you have to do it. There are now courses we have where we also invite you to only heal yourself, which is also with the institute. There's a program called as Decode, where you can simply learn how to decode every area of your life which seems to be not giving you peace and ease, which again is done in a very systematic way that can help you to have a lot of takeaway techniques for you to work on yourself. But of course, then that particular program does not allow you to apply it outside you. If you want to work with somebody else, then you need to be properly skilled and trained. And the training is of an integrated clinical hypnotherapist. Well, if I have to just say one line about the institute that I am a trainer associated with, I have been with this institute for more than 15 years. And not because I'm associated with that, or I would only be associated with 15 years because I trust and believe in its work. Even as a doctor, even as a therapist, and even as a client, because I have been through all the stages, which means that the training is very thorough. And I don't think anywhere in the world we would have any such institute which would be giving such complete wholesome education, because a therapist is trained even to understand how to understand the human system. So you have anatomy, you have physiology as a test paper that you have to apply for at the end of your curriculum. You also are trained in all the variety of techniques. We have at least minimum 15 to 20 techniques. I'm saying less, which are given in that 5 levels, which can really empower you enough to work through every possible case. Now that comes to the next question: what are the conditions that can be treated with hypnotherapy? I'm sure everybody would want to know that. So my answer to everyone who asks me is, wherever there is mind and where there is subconscious mind, there is a scope and a hope to work with hypnotherapy. Okay, when I say there is a scope, it will depend a lot upon the condition, whether it is really physically impacting your body or it is mental and emotional. If it's mental and emotion, the chances are it will be definitely taken care of. Of course, there are certain psychiatric conditions which are a little tough. I will give you some names once we are almost coming to the end of it. But if you look at the list that we have, over the 15 years, we have also compiled the number of conditions that we can treat. If you have to, because a lot of students keep giving us feedback. We have almost nearly 200 conditions, right from abandonment, A, to the last 0. I would say 0 could be an Z, any condition you can name it, which will be there, A to Z of physical, emotional, or mental that can be treated with hypnotherapy. Yes, I don't want to be very overconfident about it and make you feel everything can be done. It is on an individual case that we assess how much can we work. But for sure, everywhere your mind is present and is willing to take charge, then you definitely can really bring some change in the way you start looking at your life, whether it's the condition of cancer or whether it's the condition of cold. Though we have a lot many conditions which are treated only with hypnotherapy, but I would say we are still in the process of compiling a lot of database. And that does not mean we do not require medical treatment. Hypnotherapy is complementary to medical line of treatment. So I'm more or less summarizing on that you can treat medical conditions which are largely psychosomatic. If you really ask a doctor who's very well read, he will say 95% of medical conditions are psychosomatic. What is psychosomatic? Psycho and soma. Psycho is mind and soma is body. So wherever the mind is influencing the body, so in today's scenario, we have a lot of lifestyle disorders, is where you can really make use of hypnotherapy. What are non-medical conditions? We get a huge, I would say a huge number of non-medical conditions, which are for the working of relationships, working for your mental health or your, just enhancing your performance levels. Or I would say where you want to just work on your financial well-being. So you can work on all these conditions, which are even non-medical in the day-to-day life where you want to enhance yourself. Or it could be, something that you feel is something that you want to make a change. You're nothing wrong with it, but I want to improvise it. I want to raise my performance levels. I want to raise my way that I'm looking at life. So it actually takes you from a daily life, which is a routine life, to a life that you can lead with much more spiritual awareness. Okay, so this is by and large a scope of hypnotherapy that you would see in day-to-day life. I think more or less I have touched a large many questions that come to us. I would now let the forum, come on the videos. It would be nice, and ask me questions in case if I have missed out something or something that is not clear to you. I'm willing to be there and addressing it. Anita, you had a question?
Yes, thank you. I was just waiting for it. Okay, I think because of stress and all that, recently, last 2 years, I was diagnosed with asthma. Initially, as per the family, we have been always bronchitis. I think I'm the first one in the family. I would say I've upgraded myself. I've got, I think, as what you said, improper lifestyle, stress. I've actually, I'm having asthma, okay? And I'm 110% sure now why it is. Maybe as you mentioned, it could be like because of my stress level, it must have affected some or the other thing, and it has hit me very badly. So I guess, but I just want to have one question related to it. This sessions, the therapy sessions, before we start, do I have to disclose the medicines? And because of this, is it going to disturb my medicine pattern as well? Or you're going to add up some medicine from your end as well, from the therapy point of view?
So hypnotherapy is complementary to the medical line of treatment.
Okay.
Now, me being a doctor, I have an understanding of the medicines that are generally prescribed. So I ask for my information.
Okay.
And with a lot of discretion, we generally don't ask you to withdraw any medication.
Okay.
I don't add any, but being a doctor myself, there are times when clients ask me, I use my discretion whether I have to give them homeopathy or any other like bark flower remedy. But I assess every individual case. But in no way hypnotherapy is talking about withdrawing any medication.
Okay. And second thing, what are the chances like during the therapy sessions? How much it can hike my asthma? Because going back to the past or talking about the cause of the stress, okay, how it started or what exactly it is, the reason for it, how much it can impact my physical condition right now? What could be the chances? Just I need to take a grip of it.
Yeah, it's a good question. So we generally work with a person when they are not in the acute situation, which means if you are already having a asthma, and ongoing, a lot of times, especially change of weather, and you might get acute attack, or maybe you've just come out of an attack, and if you're not feeling up to it, we refrain from taking the session then. But there are times when you're symptom free, and that would be a good time, an ideal time, because then you're able to touch the pain and the stress, but that is not likely to bring up the asthma. There are ways a hypnotherapy session is conducted, and one of the things that we are trained is to be ready with the client when they are ready with it, and the body and mind both.
Okay.
So you will not be induced a state of asthma.
Okay.
And this is a lot about skill, but most, or I would only say that if you go to a trained therapist, by the way, you should ask your hypnotherapist. And being a hypnotherapy trainer, I will actually see to it that everybody who's come here would ensure to just check, not to doubt, check if your hypnotherapists have done a very proper systematized training, because I also see a lot of my fellow colleagues from other healing modalities, oh, I'm a hypnotherapist. I'm very sorry to say on this platform, I'm okay, because they may have not done the entire 5 levels. They may have not given 10 cases. So if I am talking today of what I'm talking of hypnotherapist, I'm talking on behalf of all of my fellow trainers and my fellow colleagues and my students who have done the 5 levels, and they've submitted 10 cases, and they have done a proper certification. Okay, so I would say just take a check. I'm actually, it's like, oh, I have done BCom, but you know what? Last year I didn't give the exam. Now that's not BCom. Okay, I have done CA, but no, I did. Now this is not working. So please be careful. I'm a trainer, so I'm very particular with my participants who come to the class as well. Well, only for the reason, because at least from my end, I take that responsibility that we are dealing with lives of people. And much more than the lives, we are dealing with minds of people. So I really make them aware that you will not put it on your wherever that you are a hypnotist and a hypnotherapist till you have done that. So I can only vouch for myself, Anita. But I can only tell you, when you go to somebody else or any of you, check if they have done from a very recognized institute, and I can only vouch for 𝘽𝙗𝙚𝙚𝙚𝙚. You may find me talking for 𝘽𝙗𝙚 because I'm a trainer with 𝘽𝙗𝙚, because I've been with 15 years with 𝘽𝙗𝙚. And I know the curriculum is so well upgraded and updated, especially in the last 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have my friends here. Bhutena is here. She's also a trainer, and she's from, she's from Bahrain, but she's always in art. Oh, sorry, am I making a mistake? Bhutena, which part of the world? Please tell me. Oman, yes, Oman. Yes. So you can see her earnestness, and with due respect, we know Middle East countries are also somewhere, many countries outside, in fact, Europe, US, most of the countries are now having hypnotherapy training from 𝘽𝙗𝙗𝙗. So I would say we will vouch for the curriculum that we send it out with our colleagues who are fully trained and certified, and they're certified only when they give 10 cases. I see, is that answered, Anita, for you?
No.
Not answered?
Yeah, you've answered.
I see some questions on the chat, and I don't know, and there's some hands raising. Anupam is raising the hand. Did you raise? I'll come to the questions on the chat. Anupam, yes?
No, I didn't raise the hand.
Okay. So I see only one question by Dr. Anand Bhavsar: difference between hypnotist and hypnotherapy or hypnotherapist. Well, hypnotist is been a term used, long time back. And it can be applicable to somebody who is doing stage hypnosis and somebody who is doing clinical hypnosis. So I see that as a very generally applied term. But when it comes to hypnotherapy, it's very specific. It is someone who is doing hypnotherapy. And when I started the session, I said therapy utilizing hypnotic state. I defined what is hypnotic state. I told you how it is taken, or rather, I told you what is it to be experienced and expected. So I would prefer asking or rather suggesting people all over here, because all that you want to know about hypnotherapy is go to a hypnotherapist. Because I don't know, and a hypnotherapist who was a certified hypnotherapist. So this is something that I want to make it clear, loud and clear, because I'm not aware of other training institutes and the quality of it. That does not mean I'm judging them. I am not doubting them, but I can only vouch for what I have seen and what I've experienced and what I've been a part of. Any other questions? Yes.
There is one message from my side to Ameeta ji.
Yes.
That save yourself from allopathy, go for hypnotherapy and homeopathy. And
Homeopathy.
I have, and because Ameeta ma'am is very good hypnotherapist and homeopathic doctor, I have learned from him and I have taken sessions from her also. Sorry, I said him. And she is very good in taking sessions and a wonderful homeopathic doctor. So आप बिल्कुल उनके पास जाओ और ट्रीटमेंट चालू करिए and you will be very
No, definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
thank you, Anupam ji.
Thanks,
Well,
ma'am.
well, the idea
Ma'am,
of this
thank you
session.
so much.
My
Welcome.
pleasure.
Any other questions? Or anyone else who's yet?
Yeah, there is one more question by Preeti here. Can just check that.
Yes, Preeti. Yeah. Yes, Preeti, I read your chat. Sorry, I joined late. I've done decode levels already. Can you throw light on how hypno can help in weight loss? I've been battling it since a long time. Yes, Preeti. Okay, so I can briefly touch upon this. Weight loss. First of all, in hypnotherapy, we have a different way of looking at weight loss. Simply because weight is, let's talk about weight just for few minutes, because it's a very intense topic and I'll try to cover it in as synopsis way because it will be taking over long. So a weight is excess body weight, right? Now everything to do with the body is interestingly not because of external factors. I just now spoke that body is intricately connected to your mind. The studies have been conducted that weight is not just a body issue, it is emotional issue. So when we talk of emotional issue, it's accessing your subconscious mind. When you talk of subconscious mind, there is one other characteristics of subconscious mind, that it does not like to lose anything. And it really takes the words the way they are, which means what? When you talk of weight loss, that weight loss is the body adding extra weight to you, and that is happening naturally and automatically without your control. Which part of the mind does it? Subconscious mind. Why does it do it? Because it wants to protect you. What does it want to protect you from? It is protecting to you from something very, very unconscious, which has been hurting you, troubling you, or painful to you. So in hypnotherapy, we do work with weight management, because if you really break down what is body is ultimately all about energy. And what is energy? Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can be transformed. So all that you have gained by way of access weight, thanks to your subconscious mind operating in a way that it keeps adding on to your extra fat, is simply to protect and insulate you from a sensitive part of you. Now, what does a hypnotherapy do? A hypnotherapy session or a hypnotherapist helps you to access that sensitive part of you and find the cause for it through a session in different ways. So we generally have at least 5 to 6 sessions we take. We also teach you self-hypnosis so that you can start retraining and rewiring your mind while you're accessing the source of the issue. So the moment you say we are on a weight loss with hypnotherapy, that is in a way not working. We are into managing the weight so that all that excess energy which has got translated into fat is then utilized for you to start kind of working in a way that makes you feel good in your body. So weight is one thing that is so subconscious, not conscious. Nobody would consciously add weight unless they are very thin. But I guess your answer is coming from excess weight, and that's subconsciously happening. So we work at the habit level, we work at the cause level, We also work at something that is making you uncontrollable in your eating habits or uncontrollable in your certain repetitive way of behaving and thinking. And then we try to rewire or retrain your subconscious mind, and then also help you that your conscious mind keeps looking at the body. Now imagine, I know you're working with kids. Imagine if you want to change a child, yeah, or make that child a better child. Do you keep saying you are bad, you are bad? Preeti, yes. You would learn to accept the child the way it is and then make a change. And the subconscious mind is like a child. If you have to bring a change in that child, you have to learn to accept and then guide it in a way that it can really release the pain and let go of it so that it can use it for the better. In fact, talking to you, it makes me feel that subconscious mind is, okay, you got it, right? The subconscious mind is as good as working with your children. You know how easy or how difficult it is to work with the children, right? So some questions are answered. I will work on it. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Preeti. I hope it has answered you. If you need more questions, if you need more clarity, we can talk on a one-to-one basis. Yes, Putena?
I was just wondering, I had a client who wanted to gain weight. She was so thin, she could feel, I mean, even on the therapy chair, we were working on something else. And then one time she showed me, like, she removed her abaya, which is the chadar that you call. She removed it and she showed me, like, the clothes that she was wearing were very tight. How much bone is sticking out? Her pelvis bones were protruding. And she said, is there any way I could gain weight? Now, this was very late in my stay in Oman. So I was planning to move to Finland. So we finished whatever she came for. And then I wasn't sure how we could address that. So, and she wasn't anorexic in any way.
Yeah, the first question was, is she anorexic? It's a medical condition. No. But even if it is not a obviously medical condition, there is something about the weight or the body that she's not comfortable with. So in hypnotherapy, it's a good question that you asked about body. Whether Preeti has asked about excess weight or even less weight, ultimately you are not fine with your body. And when you're not fine with your body, in hypnotherapy, we are focusing on your belief system that is governing your behavior and your body, if that answers. So we will go into understanding where is your deepest belief, or where did you feel you're not good? Because what you believe is what you create. What you think and you feel is what you create. At the level of body, at the level of your external reality, whether it is reality with your relationships, with your finance, or anything in your life, or even the diseases. So one has to really explore how she feels about her body, how is it impacting her, and what is it that is keeping her away from, and which will and what is it she wants to achieve. Now all these, so a hypnotherapist is not directly taking into a hypnotherapy session. They actually sit with you, they understand you, what is your issue, and then ask you certain questions so that they can be guided to take you to certain areas that you are now accessing or ready to access into your unconscious and the subconscious. So those questions, Putena, will guide you to closer to the belief. And we have a lot of techniques which we do cognitively. Cognitively means just by talking and helping the client to come to their subconscious state. Because many a times they are just working at the level of so much in your daily life that you don't know how deep is the problem. And by the way, what the problems the client comes across in daily life are only tip of the iceberg. You know what's the tip of an iceberg? So the weight is also actually just the tip of the iceberg. Only 1/8 is seen. The 7/8 of the issues are coming from deep down, with everything that you have felt, with your thought, which you have believed as you are growing in the formative years, or maybe from any memories that you are not remembering. And that's where the hypnotherapy works, in the way to simply strike right where the problem starts and also starts making the change at that level. Okay. I'm just looking at the chat and I see Preeti has mentioned something. I want to just read that. Can somebody help me to read it? Preeti, would you like to read? What did you write? And is Bhutena your question answered? Yeah. So or somebody can read for me what is Preeti wrote. And I see even after that, Anand has written something.
Yeah, Preeti has written bingo, some questions
Okay, she said
answered, and I will work on it. Thank you.
There's something after that also. I can see that I intend to take a break from my work now to explore myself. Let's see how this journey takes me. Maybe then I will be able to lose weight. Yes. I cannot read. You can't unmute yourself. I can ask you to unmute. Can you?
Hi,
now?
Dr. Ameeta.
Yes, Natasha.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question in relation to hypnotherapy.
Okay.
How effective is it for mental illnesses like depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, OCD, all those?
Okay. That's a very nice question, Natasha. So are you a medical doctor by any chance?
No, I'm not.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So, well, in my experience, we can work with hypnotherapy in those patients or in those clients who have a certain level of presence. When I say presence, they have a certain level of understanding and ability to connect and talk about their issue. Okay, number one,
Okay.
Natasha.
Yeah.
So many of the clients who are with schizophrenia, I'm touching first the schizophrenia because that's one of the most complex condition, and I generally don't take them. I would say out of the many cases I may have schizophrenia, there are only one or two who had a good level of presence, who could say, I have these conditions and I can see I am talking to somebody, I'm hearing something, because these patients have lost contact with reality. When they have totally lost contact with reality, it's little dicey for a hypnotherapist to really do only hypnotherapy session. You know why? Because they are already there. They do not have any conscious mind to take charge, which is why I said in the, so these are questions I always first talk to the relatives. I understand. When I happen to meet to the client, if I see that they are not in touch with their reality, I always recommend them to be put on medications. So let's not be very high sounding about hypnotherapy. Let's be a very, very balanced approach. So if there are times when the schizophrenic person is able to talk about his or her issue, and I see there is some presence and they are connecting to their present reality, I take some little effort to bring them to more presence. In fact, I do more of cognitive work there. The reason being they're already there. You understand, Natasha? I guess.
Okay, so when you say cognitive, do you mean like CBT, something like that?
Yes. So there are approaches that I talk at the I take it at the cognitive level, which can also bring them to awareness. But let me be very, very honest. These are cases which are little delicate to address, and even many a times, we only recommend very skilled therapists to take these cases. When I say skilled and experienced one, I'm not judging and underestimating any of my fellow colleagues and even my interns and people who are coming out of the school very fresh, because these are little tough nuts and there are a lot of factors to be involved in that. So one has to have a little good and a very good grasp on the medical situation of the schizophrenia. Okay. So I always involve my psychiatrist colleagues, and there are some psychiatrists who really trust me and they say, okay, you please take care of this part. So I very humbly say, okay, fine, I'll take care of this part, but I would want you to be there around to supervise on certain conditions like this. And that also applies to bipolar conditions, Natasha, because not every bipolar case can be so present, because they have a certain fixed idea. And there is a belief system which has gone a little haywire Topsy-turvy, I would use the word topsy-turvy. You can see the intensity of it. That really keeps them from really get in touch with that situation at the level that you can handle as a hypnotherapist. You know what hypnotherapist does? They take you to the deepest pain. If they are not ready to really take that pain and they are not able to manage it, it's little painful, right? So one has to really, really walk or rather tiptoe in certain conditions like this. You asked me about schizophrenia. You asked me about
OCD.
OCD are, I would say, so if I have to give you an average in my practice, schizophrenia, I would say 10-20%, not more. Yeah, I'm being very frank. That does not mean I lose hope. I told you there is a scope and hope wherever there is mind is, there is hypnotherapy. But I will not be over enthusiastic. I'll be very, very circumspect. When it comes to bipolar, maybe 60-70%. I would not touch it till I really have their complete support.
Yeah.
Sometimes I also use other modalities in complementary, other healing modalities. I use maybe some other energy work. Okay. Then you asked me about which condition. You said OCD. OCD has 50-60% chances. Again, the intensity of OCD may vary. If there is a minor to moderate, which means their lives are not jeopardized, then you can really do it. But there are some OCD cases that I've seen that they are completely in the grip of it. I've seen somebody who's 8 to 10 hours in the bathroom. And that was a very case, which I don't feel was the right candidate to begin with hypnotherapy. So I asked him to first take the medical line of treatment, bring it down, and then he will come back to me. And I said, we can do something. What does that mean? It only means when they are reasonably good, present, and they have some resources. What is the resource here? There's some resource to be consciously present with the pain, because it's all started with pain, right?
Yes.
And that pain was too humongous that they want to escape it. And then the OCD is again a subconsciously driven protective mechanism from a deep-rooted pain. Okay. So at some level, OCD is protecting that person from a deep-rooted pain. But at the same time, that protective mechanism of the subconscious mind is working against itself. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are. In just my experience, I volunteer at a psychiatric hospital. So I've seen so many cases. I just tend to think, the medication that they take, it sort of numbs them.
Yes.
It's like they are like in their own world.
Yeah.
So I don't sort of like that treatment, because it's like they want to isolate themselves. Yeah. And
yes.
like from my experience, I don't feel like that's like helping them, because this medication, they're on it like for years and years and years.
Yes. So
and has so many side effects.
I agree. So they have to be dealt very, very carefully, and every case is different. Because when they take medications, as much as they are numbed, if their willingness is there, you have to first bring awareness. So many times I counsel them to bring awareness of the issue cognitively. Okay. And then with their awareness and with their readiness, and many times they can really see their issue. So I also work along with hypnotherapy, transpersonal regression therapy. And so I utilize those techniques, which are actually going hand in hand.
Okay.
Are you a hypnotherapist, or are you, can I know a little bit about your background?
So I'm actually a pranic healer. I've done a bit of pranic healing, and I'm very interested in all modalities of the holistic healing.
Are you from, can you tell me which country are you?
I'm from Nairobi, Kenya.
Oh wow, so there are lovely therapists there. You are aware of them?
Probably you can, I can link up with you and you can let me know.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
So
all right, thanks.
Yeah, welcome.
All right, thanks, Dr. Ameeta.
Welcome. Preeti, you raised your hand. Okay. While you are unmuting yourself, I saw Bhutena asking a question. Narcolepsy, what would your plan of therapy be? Bhutena, this is not a lecture of hypnotherapist, but yes, I will answer it. Yes, the plan of therapy will be again the same way. We have a protocol, by the way, every hypnotherapist is given a format to first take a history, identify the symptoms. Narcolepsy is the name of the diagnosis. So as hypnotherapists, we are not basing our treatment on the name of the diagnosis. We are exploring how that condition is expressed in the symptoms. Narcolepsy is a name. Then we go into understanding the symptoms, and once you understand the symptoms, then we slowly start breaking them into what is it the client wants to make a change. We explore the history, and then we take on small steps, first to work with the emotions, then coming to the core of it, using some cognitive techniques to come down to subconscious level of chunking of the problem. So every problem is chunked. So Bhutena, this would be addressed much more in detail outside this forum, because this forum is for layperson and not for the plan of therapy.
My question was actually, would you allow them, as you answered Natasha, would you have them go and they like let them, like the OCD, go for the medical treatment first until it comes down? Or that was my question.
Okay, so basically, as I told you, every condition I would wait how intense it is, how much is the client ready, and understanding. Sometimes many conditions they don't understand. You understand what I'm saying? You all can understand cognitively what I'm talking, but they are so much in the issue that they can't fathom, and they can't. In schizophrenia, they are totally lost contact with reality. In others, they are in the grip that they can't even pay attention to you what you're talking. So what a hypnotherapist requires in a client is they pay attention to what they are talking consciously and even subconsciously, if it makes it so simpler to understand. Okay. So yes, then if they are not able to understand, then I will say, please go and take some medical line of treatment, because the medical line of treatment works right at the symptoms and numbs the symptom, because that symptom stops really hijacking them. In other words, when your condition is hijacking the person's day-to-day life, that hijack is huge, that they are just traumatized and they can't do anything, then hypnotherapy has to be taken little in the back seat. If that is understandable, right? Okay, Anupam says you can unmute. She's a host.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, hi, Preeti.
Good evening, ma'am. Finally,
finally.
I've been trying to reach through you.
Oh, wow, good to see you.
I have actually enjoyed the session. I joined a little late, ma'am. Came late from work. Now, my question is that is there a difference between treating adults and treating children? Because I have been working with children for the last 30 years. And how does hypnotherapy work differently for adults and for children? Do you think a different thermodynamics is involved? How do we understand that?
Yes, there is a little difference. And many a times we don't work with children actually literally in a hypnotherapy format, because depending upon the age of the child, from 0 to 8 years, they are already in a state of subconscious mind. There is hardly any conscious mind.
Okay.
So we actually work by using some techniques which are working at the emotions level, because children are more amenable with, talking about how they feel. And there are ways to work with even children below 8 years and above 8 years. We have a proper format, because in our curriculum, we have child hypnosis as a subject in level 3 class. So once you know the basics of hypnosis, then you go a little more into hypnodiagnostic tools in the level 2. In the level 3 class, we have a topic of child hypnosis. And basically, when I tell you about child hypnosis, if I have to give you a little more, because I know you're interested in that, and you know that child is simply a byproduct of an environment. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, ma'am. It does. It does.
So which means there are many times besides working with the children, we also, at least I make sure to also invite the parents. And I kind of guide them what they can do. And many a times, this will come as a little surprise to all of you, I work with the parents to help the child.
I know it automatically must be reflecting.
Absolutely.
Right.
If you feel interested, I have one, since you seem to be very interested, I have one topic of conscious nurturing as a topic that I have discussed with somebody on the interview. And if that helps you to get a little more clarity, I'll post it on the group. Anyone who wants to know about how do we work.
I would love to, ma'am. I would like to get into healing with children, especially because I've worked so much with them. I feel they require healing, and many times you're not able to help them in any direction. So, maybe if I can understand how to work on their mind level, it could create a difference along with whatever tools I have learned across the years. This could be one more useful tool with me.
Okay. So if I can tell you, since you're working with children for 30 years, how easy it is to deal with the mind of a child?
Not very difficult. Not very difficult. I mean, you should just be able to come down to that age level and work with the child on that level itself.
You don't even have to take them under hypnosis.
Yes, absolutely.
They are so impressionable.
Yes.
Because they are simply operating from the subconscious mind.
Yes.
So if you get this, Preeti, and if you connect to them at that level, they will tell your heart, they will tell their heart out. It's sometimes difficult to work with adults.
Right.
Even though it's not so difficult. But at the same time, because every adult has a child. Now, if you get the logic,
yes, ma'am.
I'm giving you a clue.
Right.
Okay, every adult also has a child. And in hypnotherapy class, we teach you how to deal with the inner child.
Right. Ma'am, my interest is also into working with mentally challenged children, like ADHD cases or autism cases. So do you think I'll have to travel this way only, learning all the levels?
Yes.
Or is there anything special that I can do in this area?
That would help you, Preeti, because when you go through the entire curriculum, you will be exposed to a wide variety of interventions. And in a case of autism, as I just mentioned to you, you need to have a presence.
Right.
Any client, whether it's child or an adult, need to be present to connect with you and you to connect to them, both the ways. Right. Autistic child, the connection is lost because their sensory, engagement is muted, I would say, lack of a better word, right? So in all that conditions, these are congenital, these are something not congenital in a congenital way, but their formation has happened during the mother's pregnancy.
Absolutely.
Maybe there could be a lesson for the parent to learn through the child with an autistic condition. I would not say an autistic child.
The child has to live with that condition.
Yeah.
So, if you can help the child understand, because I've realized one thing, ma'am, ADHD and autism, both these children, they have a specific positive quality. You just need to highlight that and the things go beautifully ahead.
Once you learn the basic of it, you will already be getting the idea. So to be very honest, I was never taught of how to do it. But since I got the curriculum, the hang of it, and I also have a hang of working with children and now getting better with even parents. So, or rather, always better with parents, but now being able to tell them that you also need to take care of yourself is when you will be able to help in a wholesome way. So we are not fixing children here, okay?
Right.
We are understanding children. And
Right.
for understanding children, you need to see what influences the children. We also have a topic of dysfunctional family systems in level 3 class and the different types of children, which can now give you more insight as to why the individual is going through what it is going through, even in the adult stage, even in the child stage.
I just did a family constellation on that. So dysfunctional family very, very recently.
Yes, yes. So all these factors, you will understand the individual psyche in a very wholesome way. Of course, constellation is not a part of hypnotherapy, but you will anyways get introduced to it in a convoluted way. But we do have something called as dysfunctional family systems. We have inner child work, we have child hypnosis. All these are going to
the path is the same. Travel through all these levels.
Yes.
There is no specialized course for children, like it's
Not
something like
yet.
that.
Because even then you will have to, so when I say working with children, Preeti is working with adults too. That's
Yes,
what my
absolutely.
next question was. When you work with children who come to you, what do you feel? Are you only working with children?
No, ma'am. I have to counsel the parents many times.
So
I
this
I have to understand the parents. That does happen.
Yeah.
That does happen.
And then working with them is much more tough. If I have to just
Especially especially the fathers.
no
That
comments
also
for that.
that also I can add. Okay, yeah.
So you
yeah.
will be able to really get a lot of techniques actually when you go through these levels.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And
Thank you
I
for your
can
time.
assure you, you will never, my voice is echoing. I can assure you that you would only gain and you will get more ways to work. Because when you work with autistic child or a child with an autistic condition, I want to correct myself, then you are working primarily with the mother and the father, and their inner children, and maybe there are past lives involved. Then that you would learn in level 4. Sometimes you have to do energy work, right? And then you will be able to deal with in the level 5, how to deal with energy work, right? So all these things will be somewhere or the other. It may come in one of the case or many cases.
Ma'am, one small last question, ma'am.
Yes.
I have seen that hypnotherapy levels happen with intervals in between. So what do you think is the right way to do it with intervals or one at one go?
Okay, that's a very individual choice, Preeti. Because there are teachers who take it one at a go, few teachers only, and there are some who take it at periodical intervals. In the current scenario, I would say you can take it. Thank you, Anand. Yes, thank you, because he just said goodbye. So I'm just saying, you can do it periodically because between the new curriculum, the updated one, we keep upgrading it. Between the two levels, you will be asked to submit 2 cases of that particular class. So what would be the benefit? The next class, you have the case studies and you will be able to discuss with your trainer and your mentor, and you will get so better at it. So you are learning and practicing. It's almost, parallel internship.
Yes,
so my recommendation would be that. But it's a completely individual choice.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Okay, Janisha, thank you. I would love to hear from each one. Okay, they are all leaving, but I'll leave a message. Send me your feedback. Yeah, Priyanka, you have your hands raised. And I think this will be the last question.
Such beautiful insights, and it was really, really nice. But ma'am, I have an idea. Why not have a curriculum for the children, especially because I think many mothers would be interested.
Yes, I know.
And this can, we can also attract educational professionals, teachers, and in that form, and we can, form a curriculum especially for this segment because it's very, very good.
All right. Noted. In fact, some years back, I had made a course on conscious nurturing, and I think some information is coming to me from universe to revive it. I'll see how it is.
Ma'am, train us also. We'll be really happy to take it forward with you as a team.
All right, let me see. As I told you, I had kind of kept it at my, just forgotten about it. Let me tell you that. And then I'm kind of getting some messages from 2 and 3 people saying, why don't you do this? Or are you doing something for this? So let's see what we can do.
Ma'am, this will be amazing.
Right. Thank you. Okay, Preeti is very happy about it. Count me. All right. Yeah, Preeti, but we'll have to do the 5 levels. Because I can't bypass it. I can't bypass the ECA curriculum. At least as of now, I don't think it is possible without it. But we'll see how we can really bring it to us.
Ma'am, we can start with the ECA students and then carry forward.
All right. Done. Okay, thank you. And any other questions? Thank you, Anupam. Thank you for your presence. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you, everybody.
It's my pleasure.
Welcome. So thank you, everybody. I'm closing the session here. I guess there are not many questions. There's Natasha. Catherine is there, but Catherine, are you here, Catherine?
Okay. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay. And I guess you're also from Nairobi.
Yes, I am. Yep.
Yes. So any questions?
Yeah, I was interested actually in the session because I mostly like as a patient, just wanted to know more about hypnotherapy. And yeah, because I have a problem swallowing pills.
Okay.
It seems I've tried everything, and as I'm getting older, I think it's just something we can't get away from. Like even taking our little painkiller is an issue. So yeah, I just wanted to know more to see how, if it could help me get
So
over whatever fear, trauma, whatever it is that I'm dealing with. Yeah.
So I get that you have a condition that you want to get better out of. Am I correct? And
yes.
You are okay to talk here, or you can talk to me in person.
Sure, I can talk to you.
Yeah.
Right. I can talk in person. Yeah. Thank you.
Unless there's a question related to a process, because I guess a lot of people are already begun to leave, so which is why.
No problem. Yeah.
Anybody here and everybody here is free to ask me questions. I also have one suggestion to all of you, because I'm likely to have more of these sessions now, fortnightly or monthly, about everything of the subject that I am practicing and I would say trained in. So I would be keeping out this information out on my social media, which is my Facebook profile and my Instagram profile. I don't know if Manali can help me to put it here, or we can also send it on the group, the WhatsApp group. So all of you can just be connected to me on that group on Facebook and Instagram. And if you would want, you can stay back in that group. What I can do is I can send you some more videos on what is hypnotherapy that I have taken as an interview. I was interviewed by some psychologist on that, and I can keep sharing you some more information. And I'm likely to make that group as an info quest group for different topics. So if you feel that you want to connect to me about what all I do, and maybe these are going to be monthly or fortnightly sessions for giving you just information, having an interaction, and keeping it free for all those who would want to know about these subjects. It would be more of informative and interactive. You can just remain in that group, and I'll keep sending you information on it. And you're free to connect to me in person. And once again, a very, very thank you to each one of you, and for patiently listening and asking me all these questions. And good luck.
Ameeta, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I have posted the group name on the chat, and I'll be sharing it on the WhatsApp group which everyone has joined.
All right, thank you. Manali is someone whom you can also bank on. She is somebody who's helping me with my social media, and she's helping with giving you the links of everywhere that she's connected me on the social media. So thank you for that, Manali.
Welcome.
And, I am in a way not so difficult to reach out. You just have to send me a message on my WhatsApp. Whenever I get free, I will reply. If I'm taking time, it's because I'm busy with the session or a training. So thank you, each one of you here once again. Good night, and keep being happy and keep growing better and better in your life, and be the magic that you really want to be. Bye-bye. See you.
Good night, ma'am, and keep posting those status messages. They are very nice always.
Okay. I'm also likely to put this entire recording on the WhatsApp group, right? You can do that, Manali.
Yes,
that's very nice of you, ma'am. Thank you.
You can also send this recording to any of your friends who you would want to. So I'm fine with it. This information can go free, because everybody has a right to have the information about this subject. And that's what I come from today. So good luck, goodbye. Once again, good night, happy healing, and be the magic that you are. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, ma'am.
Thank you.